not just one biggest thing, but there are several things I would like to see. And hey, let's get back to the Michigan way. Stay connected, play hard from start to finish. I thought last game, Arizona, give them credit. They had more energy and effort in areas of the ball game that they showed that we did not display that we have done in the past.
All right, that was Juwan Howard, and welcome in as we get ready to preview Michigan basketball as they are back at home. And if you're watching here on the video, you see Daniel Dash, who's the beat writer for the Maize and Blue Review. The day before Thanksgiving. Daniel, how are you?
I'm doing well. Enjoying the holiday week. What about you?
I'm ready, man. I can't wait. I can't wait for tonight, tomorrow, Friday, Saturday's kind of looming is big too. So yeah, I'm ready to enjoy it all. Well, we're here to talk a little Michigan basketball, and this is a team that was ranked as high as 4, but they went out to Vegas, and that is not how people were hoping that they were going to go out and come back. But here they are after 5 games. They've lost 2 of them. How are you looking at this start for the Wolverines?
I don't think the ceiling for this team has changed at all. I guess my biggest takeaway from these first 5 games is that the floor is a lot lower than a lot of people expected. Obviously, when you replace the likes of 4 NBA players, obviously losing Mike Smith, Shawnee Brown, Franz Wagner, Isaiah Livers, you replace them with 6 scholarship freshmen and a graduate transfer, there's going to be a learning curve. But I think the biggest red flag is the fact that some of these mistakes and some of these chemistry errors look like more than a learning curve. And I think that so far we're seeing that. I think we'll get into that in a little bit more detail soon. But I mean, there are bigger red flags than I expected at this point in the season. I know Juwan Howard on the clip you just played said, let's get back to the Michigan way. I think that starts at the defensive end. That's kind of where Michigan's always excelled during his first 3 years. Michigan obviously debuted at number 1 nationally on KenPom this year in adjusted defensive efficiency. They went out to Vegas. They gave up more than 50 points in the paint against Arizona. That's something that's really really uncharacteristic. And I think that it's really just one of the few things that have really caused eyebrows to cock up so far through 5 games. And I think that at this point, it looks like a little bit more than just growing pains of integrating freshmen.
Yeah, I do think the good news, I look at that schedule, I really don't think that they have to be the team that they want to be until 22. So they have the rest of this month, and really it's pretty manageable. I mean, that's what I'm looking at. I mean, they've got the game against Carolina, and there probably going to be some other games. Like I thought Seton Hall, and I thought the games out west were going to be easy. So having said all that, they've got a lot of time here to put it together.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that winning at North Carolina would be an awesome kind of resume box to check. But realistically, contend for a Big Ten title, Michigan really doesn't hit the ground running in conference play until January. That gives them a lot of time to work through some of these issues. They have some bye games during the winter break when athletes don't have classes between semesters. I mean that's a point that SID Tom Wyrot has even made. I mean, these guys are in study hall multiple hours a day. These 6 freshmen who are trying to get up to speed, trying to learn what it's like to be a college athlete. They're balancing that and practice and a social life. And, I think there's just so much on their plate that a break like this and, a month of games that don't really count towards Big Ten play. I know they have the first week of December that are in Big Ten play. They really got blessed with the 2 that are on the schedule in the first week of December. But I think that they have some time to work through these issues, but it's kind of a matter of if rather than when at this point.
Yeah, I'm circling January 8th. It's the Michigan State. That's when they need to really be up and running. You mentioned those red flags. I agree with you on defense. The second half, I mean, you can get beat and how they did against Seton Hall, giving up the 11-point lead and it coming down to being a 1-possession game. And that the shooting can come and go, although, that's something that we're going to get to here in a second. But yeah, the dunks and, the layups and the offensive rebounds. I mean, those are the things that jump out that, I'm sure that over these next few games that you're just going to say, hey, that's something that you just can't have. What about, let's go to the shooting here. You mentioned all those guys that they lost. And, I thought that, Caleb Houston was going to be somebody that was going to be not only a knockdown 3 shooter, but he was going to be a volume shooter and he hasn't been that yet. I know the concerns, like, you look at the numbers. I was looking at your story, 6 of 26, I think, so far from the field. But I know shooting comes and goes. But the one thing about Houston, it's just like some of these misses have been, really bad. There are a lot of bricks up there, and that's the thing. Like, all right, you can miss and get some in and outs in front of the rim and off the heel and these kind of things. But he's been, some off the side of the backboard or 2 feet over, and that's the thing that I'm wondering if the adjustment to the speed of the game or whatever. What have you seen in his shot?
The part that I keep coming back to is the fact that he started 5 for 12. I mean, he was shooting 42% through 2 games. I thought that he was going to, just hit the ground running, settle in immediately. And now since then, he's missed 13 of his last 14 threes. I think that they've started to use him slightly differently. If you watch him closely, they're asking him to do a lot on the ball. They're asking him to operate out of ball screens. I mean, this is a guy who established a reputation for himself at all levels of the high school, obviously prep school, AAU, even FIBA. This past year, he played for the U19 Canada team. He was a star. And I think he really made a name for himself as a spot-up shooter. I don't really think that I've ever seen him do well off the dribble, and Michigan's asking him to do a lot because they lost a lot last year in terms of ball handling and facilitation. And I think that Caleb can get there, but I don't think he is there yet. And it's going to challenge him to keep growing. But as of now, I think the best usage for Caleb isn't as a creator for himself, but as an outlet for others. I think that putting him in the corner to catch drive and kick passes when the defense doubles, I think putting him on the wing so that he could be the last guy on a whip around the perimeter. I think just generating uncontested looks and trying to create space for Caleb is where Michigan needs to start. He's had some misses, like you said, that haven't even been close. And I think the common denominator on all those is a hand in his face. And I think the hand in his face is a lot different than the hands he was seeing in high school. Obviously, guys a lot bigger, a lot more athletic, just generally better shot blockers at the college level, better shot contesters at the college level. And I think he's working through that right now. He'll learn. I still think he's going to be an all Big Ten caliber player by January or February. But right now, you're kind of definitely seeing the pains of settling into a role he's not necessarily used to.
Well, they can't get it all back tonight against Tarleton. I mean, that's for sure. But, the one thing that jumps out in addition or with the 3-point shooting, the numbers that you put down outside of the backcourt, the starting backcourt, Devontae Jones and Eli Brooks, just 21% for the rest of the team from 3. So it's not just if it was just a Houston problem, you'd say, all right, you'd see that. But it's the rest of the guys here as a group besides the backcourt, which you want to put up that red flag. I mean, I think that's the one.
Yeah, I mean, we heard all offseason about Hunter Dickinson's jump shot, Terrence Williams' jump shot. Apparently, this was going to be the most confident version of Brandon Johns yet, and we're not seeing any of that. Obviously, 21% outside of the backcourt is not going to get it done. And it's a pretty weird juxtaposition against last year's team because they were so good at shooting outside the backcourt. I mean, Franz Wagner by March had one of the best strokes in the country. Isaiah Livers, obviously a 4-year stalwart. You could always rely on him from 3. And I think that they're really missing those contributions right about now. And I think that they underestimated how much that allowed them to spread the floor, how much that opened up the pick and roll for, Mike Smith and Hunter Dickinson when guys couldn't help off Franz, when they couldn't help off Livers. And I think now you're seeing Devontae Jones come off ball screens, Eli Brooks come off ball screens, and there are 2 guys waiting because they're not afraid to leave the guys in the corner. They want Michigan to shoot these semi-contested threes because they're not going in. And I think until Michigan proves that that's a shot they can knock down, they're going to keep seeing that problem.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, besides Eli Brooks and maybe Moussa Diabate, I mean, I wasn't expecting everybody to come in and be great, but I think that everybody else, and this is just a testament to just how good I think they're going to be. I think everybody else I can look to and say I'm a little bit disappointed, through 5 games in their play, and that's even with Hunter Dickinson. I love Hunter Dickinson, but I think he can play better. I mean, how are you looking at this team? If you had to say, as a group or individually, just about how they've come out here in the first 5 games.
I think as a group and individually, those are both correlated, and I think it comes down to the fact that Michigan doesn't have much of an offensive identity yet. Obviously, the first 2 Juwan Howard teams were built on ball screens. Shouldn't come as a surprise. It's a very NBA-style system. Obviously, Juwan coming from the Miami Heat, where he was an assistant coach for 6 years. Loved what Xavier Simpson could do out of a ball screen. I think he led the nation in assists his senior year, or at least Division I. Mike Smith was pretty damn good too. He set the Big Ten tournament record for assists in a single game. And I think what those two guys had in common was the ability to handle ball pressure. They could always dribble through traps, out of traps. They could create angles for themselves. I think what we're seeing right now is Devontae Jones struggling to handle ball pressure. Couple offensive fouls, couple bad turnovers, couple miscommunications, and I think it's really holding the offense back. They've really relied on Brooks to start being that ball handler, maestro out of the pick and roll. And I think that it's a role that Devontae Jones is suited for. It's a role that he did well at Coastal Carolina, but he needs to adjust to the speed of the game, the physicality of the Power 5 game. Obviously, the defense that you face in the Big Ten and at these big-time non-conference tournaments in, Vegas, Atlantis, Maui, wherever you look and see games on ESPN this week, it's a lot different from the Sun Belt. So I think once Jones settles in, it's going to open up a lot of doors. But I think right now, what I keep coming back to at least is the inability to handle ball pressure and how that keeps everyone else as a trickle-down effect from settling in behind Jones.
I got two quick ones for you. You just mentioned,
Mhm.
the games that are going on, man. It is you love college basketball with all these tournaments.
Oh, yeah.
Gonzaga late last night, UCLA. It's like you can just I think you can watch basketball from now till Sunday. And
Mhm.
just if you got that DVR rolling, you can just watch it nonstop. That wasn't the question I had for you. They're probably not going to be able to erase any of the memories from Vegas or Seton Hall. You mentioned that North Carolina, that's going to be the one December the 2nd. But what would you look for if you're a Michigan fan? Is it as easy as saying, hey, they look like they're playing defense, sharing the ball and knocking down threes? I mean, what are the things that you're looking for, both big and small, here for Michigan tonight?
I think Tarleton State's a really good opportunity to tune up some of the elementary things that are going wrong. I mean, pick and roll defense communication. That's something that Juwan Howard has harped on from the day he got here. I remember a lot of fans loved in his first and second year when he held up that PJ Tucker card. Obviously, PJ Tucker, one of the best communicators in the NBA. Juwan Howard is really big on communications. That was his reminder for his guys to communicate. I want to see them run their offensive sets properly. Juwan Howard had a quote that really stood out, that there were multiple times during the Arizona game where either three guys knew what they were doing and two didn't, four guys knew what they were doing and one didn't. I think just regrouping and getting everyone on the same page at the offensive end could work wonders. I mean, when you're on a team with five guys, it helps when everyone knows what's going on. And I think just generally getting back to basics, trying to create open looks. And I think when you get the open looks, taking the open looks. I think that they've started to pass up open jump shots because they feel the pressure of this poor shooting percentage. They're trying to force the ball into the paint. I think Hunter Dickinson's got a lot of double and triple teams waiting for him there because of that. But I think the way to open that up is to just knock down these open jump shots, take them with confidence, take them in rhythm, no hesitation. And really, that's what they have a month to do.
TMBR beat writer at Daniel __ on Twitter. My final question for you, noon on Saturday. It's not basketball that I'm asking you about. I haven't seen a prediction in writing, or I haven't heard one from you yet. Do you have one? How do you see that game going Saturday against Ohio State?
I do. And people aren't going to like it. So click off now if you don't want to hear it. But I don't think Michigan's been able to keep up. I actually finished writing my prediction piece last night for the Michigan Daily. It's going to run on Friday. I'm going with Ohio State 42, Michigan 17. I don't think it's going to be particularly close. I think if Michigan's going to have a chance, they need the pressure to come off the edge early and often. Obviously, Hutchinson and Ojabo can put Ohio State behind the sticks, create turnovers. But I think from an offensive standpoint, Michigan's going to have a really hard time keeping up. They're going to need the run game to be on point. They're going to need a couple, 7, 8, maybe even 9-minute drives that end in scores. Call it a 17-play, 75-yard drive. They're going to need a few of those to keep C.J. Stroud and that three-headed monster of wide receivers on the sideline. But I think the secondary really worries me. And I think they could get Jamon Green back, which could help. But in general, there's going to be a lot of instances of man and zone coverage where Ohio State has a huge upper hand. And if the pass rush isn't getting to Stroud and he can settle in back there in the pocket, I think Ohio State's going to put up 40 plus.
You know what? I appreciate your honesty. That it's difficult. You know what's easy to do is just get caught up and say, you know what, let's go with Michigan. I mean, I'm fighting that myself. So it's hard to, block out everything and actually look at it and make the kind of prediction, even though we all hope that you're wrong. So we appreciate your honesty and your time. Enjoy the basketball game tonight, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, and the game on Saturday.
You too, Dennis. Thanks a lot.
All right, we'll talk to you later. There he is, Daniel Dash, TMBR beat writer. Thank you.